يعني النقابة مش معصية يعني.
Welcome back and starting our first segment of breakfast show with the press review, and we are joined in the studio by Mr. Mohamed Sheta, media expert. Hello sir and welcome to our show and good morning.
Very beautiful good morning to you and to all your viewers, and have a lovely day.
Thank you sir. Sir, we're going to start off with the main headlines from the press, where المصري اليوم newspaper will read President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi received on Tuesday members of the U.S. Congress. The members were both from the Republican and Democratic parties. Al-Sisi told the U.S. congressional delegation that the issue of human rights and freedoms in Egypt should not be approached from a Western perspective due to differences in challenges and domestic and regional condition. In an official statement by the presidency, spokesman Ala Youssef said that Al-Sisi stated during the meeting that the U.S. delegation headed by the chairman of the U.S. House Committee of the Homeland Security, Michael McCall, that the Egyptian government was committed to rule of law and upholding the values of democracy. And we have more details on the following report.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi told the U.S. congressional delegation in Cairo on Tuesday that the issue of human rights and freedoms in Egypt should not be approached from a Western perspective due to differences in challenges and domestic and regional conditions. Al-Sisi had said last month in response to the criticism that he understands some Western concerns over the human rights situation, but urged critics to bear in mind that Egypt faces persistent attempts from evil powers that aim to isolate the country. In an official statement by the presidency, spokesman Ala Youssef said that Al-Sisi stated during a meeting with the U.S. delegation headed by the chairman of the U.S. House Committee on Homeland Security, Michael McCall, that the Egyptian government was committed to the rule of law and upholding the values of democracy. Al-Sisi also stressed Egypt's commitment to cooperating with the U.S. to accomplish mutual goals, especially in light of the challenges that the region is currently facing, particularly the threat of terrorism. The president also talked during the meeting, which was attended by Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry and the U.S. Ambassador to Cairo, Stephen Beecroft, about domestic developments and the ongoing efforts to provide security and stability for the Egyptian people. The congressional delegation arrived in Cairo on Monday for talks with Egyptian officials on bilateral ties and counter-terrorism efforts. Congressman McCall expressed the U.S. appreciation of its strategic relationship with Egypt, stressing the importance of Egyptian stability for the U.S.
And still with Mr. Mohamed Sheta, media expert. Sir, what's your comment on this visit by the U.S. congressional delegation to Egypt?
Well, it's definitely an interesting visit for sure. And regarding what President El-Sisi told them, actually, that the issue of human rights and freedoms in Egypt should not be approached from a Western perspective, actually, I kind of agree with it. And not only regarding Egypt, but actually regarding the whole Middle East region, because the traditions and the structure of the societies in all these different countries are completely different than the way the societies are, for example, structured in the United States or in Europe.
How?
Well, in many ways they have different laws. For example, they have very strict media laws. For example, like not one single journalist can just go a blog somewhere with some rumors, for example, which are based on inaccurate information, and just get away with it. And for example, this happens here in Egypt every day, not only in Egypt but also in the Middle East. I mean, if you look at all the Facebook rumors we have, for example, the videos which we have seen recently regarding the incidents taking place in Aleppo or in Syria, for example, many videos came up later and showing that those were fake videos. Just to give you an example, the complete society and the complete law structures are structured in a very efficient way. Unfortunately, we are not that lucky yet, due to the many problems the region has been suffering over the past 4 or 5 or 6 decades, maybe. So I think And actually, the results are more than they talk for themselves. Actually, I mean, just look at how Iraq is suffering these days. Look at all the other countries in the region. Look how Syria is suffering. I think. Look how Yemen and Libya, for example, are doing these days. I think there would have been other measures on which all these countries could have been raised, where we could have raised the awareness about human rights and democracy in a completely different way. All our countries and all our regions are very much connected to the traditions and to the religious values. So this has to be taken into consideration. It's completely different than in Europe, for example, where religion does not play any role at all in their daily life. The church actually in Europe, many people are stepping out of the church, for example, in Germany.
But they are respecting human rights.
Well, like I said, human rights are definitely respected in Europe and the United States. I think we have to do the same here as well. But the circumstances are completely different, and some people they mix human rights with chaos, for example. And to be honest, I do not agree with that. I mean, I think we're going to be talking about the incident about the press syndicate later in one of the other topics.
No one can connect human rights with case. This is a case, and this is another.
Well,
another
actually, in the Egyptian case, it might be quite possible that they are connected, because, like I said, I'll just give you an example. After the 11th of January, for example, just look at the chaos which happened on the streets, and for example, all the microbus drivers, they thought that freedom means not abiding to the rules and to the traffic laws, for example. This is what I meant with chaos. So yes, you have the rights, you have the freedom, but your personal freedom stops where the freedom of the others begin. And this is something which the society has, especially the Egyptian society, has not learned yet.
Okay, moving to Sada al-Balad, where we read President Sisi is going to witness wheat cultivation on Thursday in Farafra, where the president launched 1.5 million acre mega project. He will also give the go-ahead signal to start cultivating 7,500 acres within the first stage of the project. For his part, New Valley Governor Major Mahmoud Ashmawi said that this project respects a quantitative transformation for the governorate. What's your opinion about this project in Farafra for cultivating wheat, and do you believe this is enough, or we need more projects like this?
Well, for the beginning, this is enough. I think it's very important that we produce our own food, that we stop importing and be depending on importing wheat, for example. I mean, this is the least thing which we could do. I don't know why we were importing so much wheat over the past decades from Russia, from Australia and other countries. Probably some people were making lots of money by importing all these food-related goods. Hopefully we'll be able to manage it even more professionally, and yeah, of course, the more cultivation we have in Egypt, the better. And what is even more important, that the next step after securing the food which the Egyptian people need, that we start also exporting some of these products, and not only exporting them just as they are, but maybe I think it would be better if they would be processed food. I think this would be much more relevant and much more beneficial for the Egyptian economy and for the export balance with the other countries.
Okay, and moving to Akhbar al-Yom newspaper, where Egypt's Mufti Dr. Shawqi Alam sent a congratulatory telegram to President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi on the occasion of celebrating the anniversary of Al-Isra wal-Mi'raj. The Mufti also congratulated Egyptian people and the Muslims and the Arab nation on the sacred occasion. Many happy returns for all the Muslims for this miraculous journey on and this sacred day.
Well, from my side also, happy Isra and Mi'raj for all the Muslims, not only in Egypt but also in
the Arab world.
In the Arab world, and also outside the Arab world as well.
Okay, I'm moving to Masr al-Yom, where we read a young Egyptian expatriate was found dead on Saturday evening in the Italian city of Naples. with signs of torture on his face and bruises to the head and jaw. The 32-year-old Mohamed Beher had been living in Italy for 10 years. According to MFA, the Egyptian embassy in Rome was informed that the body of an Egyptian man had been found in a railway track in Naples. The MFA spokesman added that the relative of the deceased, Ibrahim Ali Yunus, notified the embassy in Rome that of the incident on May 3 after being called by Naples Police Department to claim brother's body and personal belonging. This is another incident of an Egyptian man being killed and tortured and killed in a foreign country. Also, what's happening?
I don't know if this is a coincidence or if suddenly the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is looking much more closely to what's happening with the Egyptians abroad. In any case, we all know that Napoli is not a very peaceful area in Italy. We have lots of mafia activities in this area. Nevertheless, of course, it's a very sad incident again. The fact that he was thrown next to a rail station to the railways. I'm not really it seems that it was a very violent act, an incident which happened to this young fellow. It's very sad. Like I said, I hope that this will not be a trend.
And we need to know, of course, from the Italian government, all the circumstances of the death of that guy.
Of course. The thing is, I think every country is very keen on protecting their own people as well as the expats living there. Apparently, he was illegally in the country since 2006. This does not mean that they should not pay more attention also to his case. Nevertheless, what I've noticed over the past couple of weeks and months, that there are some incidents which have been highlighted very much in the media. For example, only a couple of weeks ago, there was also an Italian PhD student killed in Geneva, and I don't know if you heard about that incident or not, but probably most of the Egyptians did not hear about that incident, and so there are a lot of strange things why the media puts the focus on one incident and leaves the other incident. Nevertheless, I'm happy that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is taking care and is focusing on such issues. And of course, I would like to tell all the Egyptians who are planning to travel to Europe either in a legal or in illegal way to take good care of themselves, and that especially if you go through illegal channels, that it's not always easy to take care of yourself, because actually the gangs all over, we've seen what happened to the 11 or 13 Egyptians recently a couple of days ago in Libya, because also there were illegal channels trying to smuggle them to Europe. So it's extremely dangerous. So please, I mean, if you can stay in Egypt, and because actually anyone traveling, he pays around 30 or 40,000 Egyptian pounds to get to Europe. So I think with this bulk of money, you can really start a small project in Egypt, and hopefully the opportunities. And I think there are lots of opportunities here in Egypt. It needs some work. It's of course you need to work much more, and you're.
But we cannot stop people from traveling.
Of course not. But they're traveling because they're not happy here, because they're not making enough money here. But the thing is, I mean, for example, you make 15 euros an hour in Europe, for example. But of course, but also you pay 800 or 700 euros as rent. So it's not as luxurious as many people think. They only see I'm gonna get 1,000 euros or 2,000 euros a month, but they do not really take into consideration also the living costs and all the other costs they have there.
Okay. And moving to Al-Akhbar Al-Yawm newspaper, where Read Egypt top prosecutor issued a gag order in the case of storming of the journalist syndicate premises on Sunday and the arrest of journalists Amr Badr and Mahmoud Al-Sa'a. The prosecution said in a statement that the arrest warrant and the procedures being conducted by the Ministry of Interior are correct, and that two suspects are facing criminal charges that are not related to their work. The statement explained that there are no legal or constitutional conditions that prevent prevent police from arresting journalists from inside the syndicate headquarters. Badr and Sa'a were questioned by the prosecutions on Monday and given 15 days detention pending investigation into charges of spreading false news, inciting the public and plotting to overthrow the regime. What's your opinion about this issue?
Well, I have lots of comments about this issue. First of all, I'm against the ban of the media coverage because I think all the Egyptians and also the foreigners, they have the right to know what's going on in Egypt. This is one thing. At the same time, we need very strict laws for controlling misleading information and false information, which are spread on purpose in many cases. For example, the fact that they mentioned it's a storming of the journalist syndicate. I mean, we're talking here about the press syndicate, so I haven't seen one single picture about the storming. So I'm not sure if storming is the right word for this. So, I mean, there are supposed to be lots of journalists in the press syndicate building, so and they knew that the police were after those two gentlemen, and apparently or obviously the Ministry of Information, the Ministry of Interior said that they sent several notices to the president of the press syndicate that they're looking for these two gentlemen.
On the other hand, they said they didn't
receive. So I think the only fair thing is that if the Ministry of Interior has the recordings of these calls, or they should get from the mobile network providers the list with the phone numbers, I think this would be only fair to publish them, you know, and so that we would know who is lying actually. I think that such important phone calls are probably recorded from the very beginning. So if someone is lying, then show who's lying.
Must be open to public to know all the facts.
Of course, and I suppose that both parties have recorded these phone calls. I mean, if Mr. Alej, the president of the syndicate, received the phone call, I'm sure that he recorded this phone call just to have some facts on the ground when he needs it. So this is one thing. The other thing is I'm not really happy with what the press syndicate has been doing over the past couple of years, and it's no secret for the people working inside the media that lots of the so-called journalists are actually also doing advertisement, and this is forbidden by the rules of the press syndicates. For example, 99% of the journalists working in the Al-Ahram or the Al-Akhbar automotive news supplement, actually they are advertising salesmen, you know, and they have no problems in doing so. Actually, one of them even created a new genre, which is a radio advertising reader. I mean, he is reading the advertisements of a German car company, for example, live on air, you know, and it's known that he's working for the Al-Ahram newspaper.
But this is not related to the incident of the Interior of Ministry.
No, it is not related to this specific point. But I'm telling you that the press
syndicate has its problems.
No. It has lots of problems actually, because this is one of the problems. The other problem is like they should not be allowed to hide two suspects in the building, and the fact that this movie maker Khalid Youssef took them in his car because he has a parliamentary. Actually,
we ran out of time. Okay. It's a controversy issue, and next time maybe we'll talk more about it. Mr. Mohamed Sheta, media expert, thank you very much for joining us, and welcome to our breakfast show. And now we're moving to a quick break with the top stories, and we're coming back soon.